John Stegeman is the director of the Woods Hole Center of Oceans and Human Health. He joins us now from Massachusetts. John, good to have you on the show. We know that ocean pollution is widespread. It is worsening, and it poses, as I've said before, a clear and present danger to human health. That being said, do you think that the extent of this danger is not been widely comprehended?
Well, I think that could be correct, yes. I think that's one of the impacts that we hope this paper published in the Annals of Global Health will have, is to raise awareness among governments as well as population worldwide.
Okay, let's talk about raising awareness. I believe in your country, in the United States, there was the Clean Air Act that was passed back in the 1970s. That has greatly helped reduce air pollution, I think, by at least 50%. Why do you think governments around the world are so reluctant to sort of pass similar measures when it comes to pollutants entering our waters?
Well, I think that it's not that they're not paying attention to the waters. There are indeed a large number of national and international conventions and laws that deal with pollution, the sources, and to try to reduce those sources. But this is largely a piecemeal effort, and there needs to be, I think, a global effort to make a coherent program. So, for example, the Stockholm Convention, which concerns reducing persistent organic pollutants, has been very effective in actually reducing the amounts of chemicals of certain kinds that are quite dangerous. And groups like the Cartagena Convention, which presents a legal structure for members to take action in the Caribbean. There are non-governmental organizations, private companies, philanthropic organizations, governments, academic units, and so on. But there is a need for a coherent science-based approach that would involve communities, those communities you mentioned at risk, to achieve the best results for sustainable and substantial action.
You were talking about chemical discharge with the Stockholm Convention, but plastic waste, one of the most visible components of sort of ocean waste. I believe there are more than 10 million tons, metric tons of plastic dumped into our oceans. Talk to us as a scientist for us to understand what happens to plastic once it's dumped. I mean, how far does it go? How small does it get? This is extremely dangerous.
Well, the concern over plastic wastes has grown as the scale of the problem is recognized, and the concern is accelerating. The issues are, as you mentioned, with plastics that can be seen, which degrade the environment and endanger wildlife. How to clean those up and prevent more is the issue, and there are groups working fervently on this issue. But there may be greater concern about the microscale and nanoscale plastic particles that you cannot see. The effects of these on health are poorly known, and these plastics can contain or carry a variety of other pollutant chemicals. And there are major efforts worldwide to address these uncertainties.
You talk about these micropollutants, these nanopollutants. I was fortunate enough to spend nearly 50 days near Antarctica about 2.5, 3 years ago. And the scientists were coming up with these microplastics from samples that they were taken from waters over there, thousands of miles from the nearest human population. And this must be surely affecting not only, human doesn't exist there, but marine life.
Absolutely. And I think that what you just mentioned is a reflection of the fact that microplastics and nanoplastics, as well as ocean pollutant chemicals, are globally distributed. They are everywhere, and they are in everyone. The issue with the micro and nanoplastics and their impact on human health directly is something that we don't know enough about by any means, and it's an area of real need for intense research. But what you mentioned is that there are threats to human health that come directly from contaminants, whether plastics or chemicals, that are mostly in the diet, and the diet a major part of that is seafood. And that's a real problem in those areas where seafood is a major source of protein, and that represents billions of people. But there are also indirect effects of pollutants that may result from adverse changes in ecosystems and thereby affecting the important services that ecosystems provide. So I think that governments need to not locally but globally need to support the the 3 M's, as I call them: measurement, monitoring, and mitigation, or to achieve the 3 A's: awareness and anticipation of problems and action to prevent them.
All right, 3 M's for the 3 A's. All right, John, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour. I do appreciate your analysis.